So here's something that's been making some noise online, and it involves Stephen A. Smith and one of his regular guests on ESPN First Take. Her name is Chanel, and if you watch ESPN at all, you probably recognize her. She appears across multiple shows on the network, but she's become a familiar face specifically on First Take. And recently, Stephen A. Smith made a comment directed at her that a lot of viewers did not take lightly. People in the comments were fired up. One person put it plainly, saying that Stephen A. Smith was massively overstepping, and that moments like this are exactly why female analysts constantly have to fight for basic professional respect in sports media. So what actually happened? Stephen A. Smith openly admitted, on air, that hearing Chanel speak French had turned him on. Now, in any other context, that might slide under the radar, but this is a professional broadcast setting, and ESPN of all networks has a history that makes comments like this land very differently. You'll remember the situation involving Malika and Jalen Rose and the tension that surfaced around their working relationship. ESPN has navigated its share of uncomfortable moments when it comes to workplace dynamics between colleagues, and audiences haven't forgotten that. So when something like this happens again, people aren't just reacting to the comment itself, they're reacting to a pattern.
Out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best hair in television. Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best hair in television.
Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose
welcoming in the man with the best hair in television.
And let me tell y'all something that's very, very direct and clear, so ain't no gray area. First off, you damn right I hugged my sister, because I'm a real one, I'm a boss, and I'm a G. Next, I didn't put my finger under her armpit. If you look at the picture, I only got four fingers and one thumb, and they on her shoulder.
If you remember how that situation unfolded, it was a serious one. Jalen Rose actually had to come out publicly and defend himself, telling people flat out, "I didn't touch her. Go back and watch the tape." And when people did go back and look at the footage more carefully, it became clear that it was actually RJ Barrett whose actions had sparked the controversy, not Jalen Rose. So yeah, ESPN has found itself at the center of some genuinely uncomfortable situations when it comes to how men and women interact in that professional environment. It's not a one-time thing, and that history is exactly why people pay close attention when something like this comes up again. With that context in mind, let's get into the actual clip that's been circulating. If you haven't seen it yet, on a live broadcast of First Take, Stephen A. Smith told his guest Chanel that hearing her speak French had turned him on. Right there on air, in front of the cameras, in front of the crew, in front of everyone watching at home. So let's take a look at exactly what went down.
Bonjour, Stephen A. Je m'appelle Chanel. Et Rudy Gobert, il est magnifique. Il est magnifique. He has been phenomenal. Rudy Gobert's defense, he's been magnificent. I hope I did all the French people proud there with my pronunciation. I'm more of a Spanish girl.
You did. You did me proud.
Girl.
You did me proud. You did me proud.
Yes.
I'm here to tell
I'm
you.
an Igbo girl, but I pivoted a little bit because Rudy Gobert, il est magnifique. He's been fantastic in this matchup. I wouldn't say that it's Nikola Jokic by himself because no Aaron Gordon has been a big factor as well when it comes to their burst and their production like we saw yesterday. But I am in awe. Rudy Gobert is probably one of the most criticized players in the NBA, and the Frenchman has taken this matchup personally. He has looked phenomenal. And if you think about what this matchup has done defensively, he held Jokic in this series so far to 13 of 40 shooting, 4 of 19 from 3. And a lot of people like to, we've seen multiple highlights isolate Rudy Gobert one-on-one. We've seen like Luka Doncic, a number of players try to just get at him that way. Well, you know, Nikola Jokic has had opportunities one-on-one on the top of the key. Again, he's been able to move and keep him in single coverage. Right now, the Timberwolves, we saw what Jaden McDaniels said. They want the smoke. They want the smoke, and we're seeing the best version of these teammates that are the supporting cast alongside a superstar in Anthony Edwards. So you have to give a lot of credit to the Frenchman for rising to the occasion in this moment.
I have to. I got to get a little personal here first for a second here, Shay and Chanae. I mean, you know, listen. I'm living a good life. I'm pretty damn happy. to say the least. But I must admit, in all my years on this earth, I've never dated a woman from France or anything like that. But after hearing Janae, I was like, what have I been missing? What have I been missing? I mean, that language, that verbiage right there, that kind of turned me on. Anyway, let me get back to the focus at hand. I got to tell you, when you look at Jokic, in all seriousness.
So, now that you've seen the clip, that's Stephen A. Smith on live television openly telling Chanel that hearing her speak French turns him on. And as we touched on earlier, the reaction from viewers was strong. People weren't just brushing it off. The comment that stood out said it best. A male anchor publicly declaring on air that a female colleague has turned him on isn't just awkward, it speaks to a deeper problem. It reinforces the idea that women in sports media are still being seen as entertainment first and professional second, rather than as equal peers who earned their seat at that table. So I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Stephen A. Smith crossed the line here? Because depending on how ESPN handles it, this could become a much bigger conversation. We've already seen how the Malika Andrews situation involving RJ and Jalen Rose played out, and that one had the whole sports media world talking. And this isn't an isolated pattern either. I've covered other videos looking at the behavior of certain ESPN personalities around female analysts on that network, and the clips speak for themselves. Now, while we're on the subject of ESPN and this kind of conduct, there's another clip that's been getting attention, and it involves Tristan Thompson. During an appearance on the show, Thompson was caught on camera pressing his leg against Chanel while she was seated beside him. She was dressed up, and honestly, watching the clip, his intentions aren't hard to read. So let's pull up that footage right now, and then I'll be back with more commentary on what exactly is going on over at ESPN.
One-on-one, cooking baseline. That's the scary thing, Malika, about this. That's the scary thing about it. And as a defender, one time I go double. Well, guess what? I'm not going to do the next time. I'm not going to double. I'm staying home.
Okay, guys, I know you
one likes getting dunked on.
Hold up, I know you dunked on me, but I'm going to drop a nugget. You know, ever since Kyrie joined the Mavericks, they are the #1, probably likely isolation team. They're the only team in the NBA with 2 players that lead the top 10 in isolation buckets. So yeah, you got a bucket on me, but I'm going to give you
she just verbally dunked on you.
Yeah.
Well, we already mentioned it.
And as I mentioned, I've put together a separate video going deeper into RJ's pattern of behavior on set. Specifically, the repeated incidents where he was caught on camera placing his fingers in Malika Andrews' armpit during broadcasts.
Get your fingers out of my armpit, bro.
Get your fingers out of my armpit.
And that's exactly why so many people keep asking the same question. What is actually going on over at ESPN? Because it wasn't just one person asking. The comments on that earlier video covering Richard Jefferson's behavior on set were flooded with people saying the exact same thing. Viewers noticed, and they remembered. So now that Stephen A. Smith has added his name to this conversation with that live on-air comment, it feels like ESPN may have reached a point where they need to seriously address how their on-screen talent conducts themselves, not just behind closed doors, but in front of a live audience. Here's where it gets particularly important. If Chanel were to come forward and state that Stephen A. Smith's comment made her uncomfortable, that shifts this from a talking point into a formal workplace issue. And how ESPN responds to that would tell us a lot about how seriously they take these situations when the person involved is one of their biggest stars. Because we've already seen how the network handled similar boundary-crossing behavior from other personalities, and the answer, at least publicly, appeared to be that they didn't handle it at all. Incidents that seemed to cross clear professional lines were met with silence from the network. No visible consequences, no public accountability. But Stephen A. Smith operates at a different level within that organization. Stars of his caliber are rarely treated the same way as everyone else, and that's a reality in this industry. Even so, that comment should never have been made on live television. A professional setting demands professional conduct, regardless of your title or your status. That's the standard, and it applies to everyone.